practically. Like, you sometimes end up with, like, a friend.
Oh, sure.
We're just doing an interview.
What's been your worst online dating experience?
Trying to think.
How do you think most couples meet in today's generation?
If you were to get married, would you rather have met the person through online dating or through organic means, or through friends and so forth?
So if you were just hanging out and someone were to approach you in a coffee shop or something like that, do you think that is something that's okay, or do you think that shouldn't be something that you would say yes to? How do you think most couples meet in today's generation?
Good question. I mean, I personally think it's great when you kind of get to meet in person, but I think online dating is quite popular. Friends of mine like met their boyfriend or something online, so it's kind of common, I guess, to do it online now.
What do you think is the most popular method?
Like online or offline?
Exactly.
I'd say, like, I don't have the statistics, but I'd say online.
Yeah.
I mean, COVID and stuff, social distancing.
Online dating has skyrocketed, right?
Yeah.
But the most common way that couples still meet is still actually in person.
Good, no?
I think that's good. Yeah. Do you think that's good?
Yeah, I mean...
How do you think people meet, though, in this current generation?
To be honest, I feel like something like work or uni or something like where you kind of get to work or spend more time together.
So what do you think is the number one method, offline or online?
I think at the moment, online.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, just because I think, especially with the kind of apps and stuff, it's, I guess, an easy way to meet mutual friends and people that maybe you would have bumped into but not maybe like struck a conversation up with.
So online?
I think Hinge, personally.
Yeah,
Is that the one that you rate?
No, I don't rate it.
Oh, okay. Just the way you said it.
It's the one I hear the most about, yeah.
You might be interested to know that the number one way that people meet is still actually in person.
Oh, okay.
Is that surprising, do you think? Precisely,
okay.
yeah.
I guess that is true, because I guess also online, like, you could be anyone, to be honest, couldn't you? You could have really good chat online and then you meet them in person. It's crap.
So following on from that, what are your general thoughts on online dating?
I think online dating's good for mutuals. So if you match with someone who you kind of know of, that's quite a nice situation. However, when you meet someone who you have no connections with, it's a good thing, but also it's a bad thing because that person can pretend to be anyone and you don't really know what they're like.
Do you think it's the majority meet through friends?
Yeah, still, I reckon.
Still, you still think so? Mm-hmm. And you know what? You're absolutely right. The recent studies have shown that couples do actually still meet through sort of organic ways or natural ways rather than through online. What are your thoughts on online dating?
Well, personally, I haven't done much of it.
Yep.
But I think you can meet some nice people. I haven't been sent any dick pics yet, so I'm doing well.
No, you are. It's surprising the amount of stories I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you use dating apps a lot?
I am on Hinge.
You're on Hinge, okay.
But I haven't really used it a lot because I guess personally I just came out of a long-term relationship, so only just started.
Okay. And how did you guys meet, if you don't mind me asking?
Through friends.
What do you think is the most common way couples meet today?
Okay, well, I think most common would probably be a mixture of mutual friends. I think that's a good route.
Okay.
I think because you can kind of vet them before.
But do you think most people do it through those means?
I think probably not. That's kind of a lucky coincidence.
Yeah.
I think online dating is probably the most popular, at least in my experience. I think I've seen a lot of people now getting married from
interesting
going on apps and stuff. So
Okay, cool. Actually, it's the other way around. They've shown that couples meet through friends and through sort of organic means rather than through online dating. You're not not very pro online dating.
I met my boyfriend.
You met your boyfriend on Tinder?
Yeah,
okay, brilliant.
I am, but I think there is a certain amount of kind of just being cautious.
Okay.
Well, at least for me, I think.
Okay.
I think it's important to just thoroughly get a sense of the person.
The last few years, online dating's obviously skyrocketed. What are your personal thoughts on online dating?
I'm personally quite paranoid about it.
Sure.
Just because I've heard so many horror stories from my friends about it. Or I just think if you're in a big city, you just don't really know who you're getting, and people are attracted to an image of you rather than you and your personality. So you're going on that rather than anything deeper. So I'm personally a bit more kind of cautious with it.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Is that from any experiences you've had yourself?
I had one bad experience I've had a few where I think people kind of see a picture and then they expect, sometimes people use me for work, so they think that I can get them in contact with somebody else.
What do you do out of curiosity?
I model, so sometimes I'll have someone come up to me being like, how do I get into the industry, do you know anyone? So they're not really dating me, they want to know if they can model as well. So that's always a bit awkward, because then you just end up talking about like their modelling prospects or whatever, and so then it's very difficult to actually get to know them.
Sure.
So I found that happens a lot.
Have you ever considered removing your occupancy from the profile?
Yeah, I'm not on it. I actually am just started on it again, but I think I will probably do that.
On that note, I'm actually trying to break into the modelling industry, so if there's anyone you can put me in contact with, I'd be greatly appreciated.
I'm a bit maybe weary of online dating now, because I feel like you're just judging people based on their looks, and I've realised that if I look at the people that I end up meeting when I've picked them based on their looks online versus the people that I've met naturally and like hit it off with, they're a completely different sort of people, I kind of miss that natural connection of completely different sort of people. My type is less of a factor when I meet them naturally. It's just like how we get on, like a connection, like how we vibe. But like it's hard to give people a chance that might actually have a really good personality online, because like psychologically, how are you ever going to like get rid of the physical element of swiping on pictures?
Have you had generally negative experiences on dating apps? Or?
Not negative, but none particularly positive. Like I'm still single. I've not met anyone great. Like I wouldn't say anything was negative. I have lots of funny stories, like interesting stories, and just like, oh my god, men are just ridiculous, aren't they, sort of things. But
do you think Hinge is the better app for meeting people that are, let's say, closer to the person you'd maybe connect with, more likely to connect with?
Yeah, definitely, because you've got the prompts, you can kind of assess their chat to an extent, and sometimes guys will say something and I'm like, one of their prompts, and I'm like, you literally had 3 chances to show your best personality, and you chose to say something completely ridiculous in your prompt. Like, I think it's quite easy to give off a red flag, or to really showcase like that you are a really funny guy.
Cool. So it's like an easy vetting process. It's easier than the other apps.
Easier, and easier to start a conversation, like, because you can just say something linked to the interesting prompt, rather than like having to come up with some random chat line like you had to on Tinder, because someone could quite easily have an empty bio, like nothing to work with.
Do you have a preference whether to meet a future partner online or in person?
I would rather meet them in person than online, because I don't really want to tell people that I met someone on a dating app. But I don't think I
also really hate the small talk that you get on dating apps and stuff. Like, I'd feel like it'd be easy just to meet someone in real life. There and then. If you were to meet someone on a dating app and then be like, right, let's go out now, and then just meet them and not have any small talk, that'd
I
be
don't
fine.
want to like text. I don't like texting them like, where are you from? My dream would be like a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
So then I know that they're like normal.
What's been your worst online dating experience?
We definitely went on a date at one point. We went out for wine, but we just weren't getting on that well, and he wanted to go ice skating after, but I have a severe phobia of ice skating.
Right.
So I got her to ring me up and pretend to be breaking up with her boyfriend, so that I had to go.
I had to call her at a particular time, and
you don't like it that much?
I do remember that. Yeah, she made me call her, and then I had to pretend I had a issue, and your voice, I could hear your conversation through the phone, and he was like, wait, you're obviously just sacking me off, and you were just lying.
Sometimes you have to do these things.
For instance, a second date with a guy, and he was like, oh, I'm just going to turn up. I'd met him the day before, had a really nice dinner date, and then he was like, oh, I really want to see you again. And then he was like, oh, I'm just going to come after work drinks. Anyway, he turned up 8 pints in on the second date, and basically he was 26, and I met him in the street, and he was like, we can't actually go to the bar that I was telling you to go to, because my friends are chasing me down the street, trying to look in every pub that I'm going in with you to try and chase us and sit down with you. So we had to like walk down every pub in Putney to try and like hide from his friends, as they gradually did like a bar crawl down the street to try and find where he was and to sit with us. Anyway, he was 8 pints in, like literally he tried to kiss me like maybe 50 times in the pub. Like he was literally like all over me, like literally like kissing me constantly. Yeah, from the get-go. Wow. And then his friends found us, and then that was game over. And yeah, they eventually caught up with us. And then, yeah, it was just not a fun time being with 6 guys that were all 8 pints in when I'd had 1 single beer.
If you were just hanging out and someone were to approach you in a coffee shop or something like that, do you think that is something that's okay, or do you think that shouldn't be something that you would say yes to?
No, I think that's okay.
I think that's fine, yeah.
As long as they're like polite.
Yeah, and not like weird about it.
Have we spoken to people today who like girls who have said that happens so often that it's just really off-putting to them?
To be honest, we obviously just don't get it enough. I wouldn't say that I'm overwhelmed with men in coffee shops.
I think it's still kind of awkward when someone approaches you in a cafe or something. Like, so it never works, you know, when someone approaches you out of nowhere.
Has that ever happened to you before?
Did I get approached?
Yeah, in a cafe or etc. And you would never say yes to that?
It's rarely, like, I mean, not to be rude, but usually people come up to me that I'm not interested in, like, not to be rude, but like,
sure.
Just I feel like when you kind of get to know, not ugly, but like,
I'm just kidding.
I mean, sometimes, not to be rude, but like, I just think it's better when you kind of have a connection kind of through work or something. You get to know the person, kind of, you know, how they react and stuff, because just from like a hi, can I have your number, you don't get to see if there's a vibe.
Sure.
Whereas like,
what are your views on cold approaching? As in when a guy comes up to you.
So I've researched this actually recently, because I've noticed, I'd say 2 and 3 times I go to Oxford Circus and come out of the station, guys will come up to me, like most times, regardless of how I'm dressed. Most times I'm there, it's because I'm going like out in Carnaby or something, so I am dressed nice, but it's almost like I'm literally just coming out the station. My phone's barely like orientated itself on maps. I'm just like kind of caught up in like working out where I'm going. Guys will instantly have like come up to me, like latched on me, be like, "Oh my god, your like outfit's so nice," or something, "You look really cool," and they'll walk with me. And it's happened. They've walked down the whole of Oxford Street with me, or walked all the way to like my destination in Carnaby or something. I'll be quite clear, like I'm not interested, or I'm quite bad, like. I never say I've got a boyfriend, which I should. I guess I've never said that. I'm always like, I panic and I'm like, yeah, I am single. And then one time I was like, oh, yeah, I am single, but I'm not looking to date right now. And he was like, okay, we can be friends first. And I was like, what on earth? Like, I really dislike, maybe if you're like, oh, you're attractive, like something, and then leaving it if I'm not interested, but walking like a whole, like for 10 minutes with me is ridiculous.
Has it ever worked for you? Have you ever sort of said yes? Would you, as in from a cold approach, if they've asked you to go on a date?
In a genuine, I've maybe given my number just to get rid, because I was actually genuinely in a rush.
Is that just a principle of yours? If somebody you found, let's say, attractive, came up to you and asked you,
fine, but that doesn't happen.
that doesn't happen, really? Okay.
I don't think in the street, maybe in a bar.
So say somebody here, for example.
If I rated them, I wouldn't think anything badly.
Would you
come to me cold if I rated them? My only experience has been guys that are I'm really not interested in.
Okay.
I felt quite intimidated as well by the Oxford Circus ones, because when I've googled it, it says that they're trained by pickup artists, and even trained by pickup artists. So they might only be doing it to build confidence. They might not genuinely be interested anyway.
You've read about this, that most of them are trained by pickup artists?
Especially around Oxford Circus, because if they fail, they're probably not going to see the girl again. I don't know, it just makes me feel like a bit uncomfortable, and the whole pickup artist community is a bit of a strange one that's been talked about recently in like kind of misogynistic view. But no, I wouldn't be against it if I would genuinely find them attractive, but I actually can't think of an example of someone that I've found attractive approaching me like randomly. No.
I'm just curious, how often do you experience stuff like that?
If I'm honest, I experience it a lot, but it's usually because they're weird. So like, I've never had a sane man come up to me on the street.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, like I've never I've never had somebody that's not like a bit, do you know, like somebody that's kind of who I would like to meet.
Sure.
Come up to me in person.
Because we've spoken to people and like they said, like, as a general rule of thumb, if anyone's going to approach like that in that sort of fashion with an agenda, then the automatic response is going to be no.
Yeah, absolutely.
But could you ever see yourself saying yes?
Actually, I did once, and I had a date from it.
And how did that go?
Badly.
Badly.
Yeah. So.
How come?
He was quite rude.
Oh right.
Yeah.
And how? What? You went to coffee shop?
No, I met him actually. I don't want to say too much, but I met him in a Pret, and then basically just said, "Would you like to go out with me?" And we did go out, and he was fine, but he was just not the kind of person that I can see myself ending up in. And obviously, I didn't end up in a relationship with him, or even dating him really properly. So, yeah.
Finally, as the final question, if you were to get married, would you rather have met the person through online dating or through organic means, or through friends and so forth? Or do you even have a preference?
Who cares?
Who cares, right? Okay, yeah.
You really got on in person. I suppose it doesn't matter where or how you met, as long as they're not, like, you're compatible and they're not a psycho. It's fine. You know?
So you would say you'd still have a preference to meet in person, if possible.
Yeah, my personal preference is vetted through friends. People know them already.